How's it going, type 2 diabetes crew? Welcome back to another episode of the Diabetes Management Group. My name is Patrick Liu. I'm the founder of the Diabetes Management Group. I had prediabetes back in 2021 and was able to successfully reverse it in 2022. For today's topic, we are going to discuss what's better, almond milk or soy milk. Before we get started with today's video, I wanted to share a little bit of a story. So for some people who have lactose intolerance, it's not a good time whenever they try to drink milk. Now, my mom, she is actually on the spectrum of having lactose intolerant and cannot drink milk directly. And whenever she does, it's not a pretty sight in the bathroom. Constipation, diarrhea, the whole slew of everything, not to mention feeling sick for the next couple days. And it also makes sleep pretty tough and intense, because if one has experienced diarrhea, I have experienced this before, it woke me up multiple times in the middle of the night until I was able to flush out everything out, and it's not a great time. So for those of you who have type 2 diabetes and have lactose intolerance, or maybe you're looking to find some dairy alternatives to improve your health, and maybe taking dairy just doesn't fit in your diet or your lifestyle, then using different milks such as soy milk or almond milk may be great alternatives for you. Now, to get started with today, because I want to spare y'all the terrors of having to go to the bathroom and it not being a great time, we are going to discuss this. So for the soy milk, this brand, it is 110 calories for 1 cup. Now there's 8 servings in each of these, so if someone were to drink this entire container, it's not a good time, because that entire container, do 8 multiplied by 110, which would make it 880 calories. Just understand how to read the serving size and how many servings is in each container for each food, because that will significantly address how much of the macronutrients and micronutrients that one's going to get from it. So breaking this one down, the total fat that one is receiving is 4.5 grams, and then saturated fat is 0.5 grams, and then the polyunsaturated fat is 2.5 grams, and the monosaturated fats is 1 gram. So the monosaturated fats is actually pretty good for the body and health and longevity. And then the next part that we'll look into is the carbohydrates, because that's going to be more the big one that people are looking into. As a disclaimer, I am not a dietitian, but I am a health and wellness coach, and fortunately I had the opportunity to learn about nutrition and the aspects of how it impacts the body and what we can do to manage and associate with that. So with this, the total number of carbohydrates is 9 grams, so pretty low carb content. And then the dietary fiber is 2 grams, which is what I like to see, because we could actually get those 9 grams and subtract it by 2 for some dietitian's rules. Again, follow whatever your dietitian recommends for if they want to include it all in there. If they don't, if they want to subtract the fiber from the total amount of grams, then utilize whatever your dietitian tells you to do. But generally for me, what I would do is, for the amount of carbohydrates that I would have, I would just do 9, subtract that by 2, because that's how much fiber is in there. So that would give me 7. And then the added sugars would be any additional sugars that they put into it. Keep in mind, some of the added sugars would actually increase the spikes that one would receive. However, due to that fiber content, it does blunt it a little bit. And then the other thing that I'd look for is the amount of protein. Now this sucker has 8 grams of protein. That's really good, because protein actually blunts the response of how quickly one's blood sugars would rise up. And that actually attenuates it, so it keeps it more in a good range. However, some important things to note is by having higher amounts of proteins and higher amounts of fats, that could actually raise blood sugars later on in the day, whether that's 2 hours or a bit later, depending on how one's body is able to break down the fats and the proteins into carbohydrates and sugars. Just things to keep a note. It's not anything too crazy to be aware of, but just some things to keep in mind. So there's that background over there. I'm not going to get too much into the bottom nutrient side over here, just for time's sake of this video. But if you would like me to talk about it in more details of what those vitamins and nutrients does entail, feel free to leave a comment down below, message me, and I'd be happy to do more of a breakdown because of that. So before we get started about my breakdown of almond milk, please be sure to like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, join our community, click that notification bell for updates on the videos that we'll post on this channel. Share this video with anyone you think would be helpful for to learn how to break down the nutrition labels and determining whether almond milk or soy milk is better for their situation. And we also have an awesome Facebook group where you could message me directly and I'd be happy to have some conversations, and joining a community of like-minded individuals who are ready to learn how to reverse their type 2 diabetes and prediabetes, and learning how to do so in a fun way. Now, let's get started for the almond milk. So for this container that I have in particular here, it is 30 calories. So we can tell it's significantly less compared to the one over here. Now, one may be asking, why is that the difference? We can take a look at the other content set over here. This one has 2.5 grams of fat, and each fat gram, it is 9 calories per gram. So this one has less total fat compared to the soy milk. And then if we look over here, no saturated fats, no trans fats, polyunsaturated is 0.5 grams, and then the monounsaturated fats is 1.5 grams. The cholesterol is 0. It doesn't really matter in my opinion, but of course consult with your healthcare provider and everything. This is just general education. Total carbohydrates, this is 1 gram and less than 1 gram of fiber. So in this scenario, if it's less than 1 gram, for me, I would still put that as 0 because it's less than 1 whole one, and it's just safer that way for tracking, in my opinion. There are no total sugars and no added sugars in here. So that means this has significantly less carbohydrates compared to the soy milk. And then for proteins, this only has 1 gram of protein compared to the 8 grams of protein in the soy milk. So overall, if we were to compare the soy milk and the almond milk together, the soy milk has more calories, so that may play a factor in the role of whatever you decide to eat with it. It has higher amounts of sugar. Be prepared to have more of a higher spike in the blood sugars compared to the almond milk. However, in my opinion, when I used my continuous glucose monitor, I didn't notice too much of a differing spike for me personally, but that's just how my body breaks it down, and I assume it's probably due to the protein content and the fat content that's higher in the soy milk. In general, from my analysis from this, I would suspect that the soy milk would actually have a slightly higher increase of blood sugar responses compared to the almond milk. So depending on what your goals are, almond milk might be a good alternative for oneself. However, if one is lacking protein, then of course utilizing the silk milk would be a good alternative for that. Or if you're someone like myself, which I like to have the best of both worlds, I would actually have 1 cup of almond milk and 1 cup of soy milk with my cereal and oatmeal, just as a way to mix and match the different benefits of it, because I'm able to get the protein from the soy milk, and then I'm also able to get the lower amount of calories from the almond milk, which would allow me to actually increase the amount of calories I can get from different meals and other alternatives. So from my perspective, it depends on what your goals are. If one's wanting to lower their blood sugars and not have as much of a spike, then I think taking the almond milk would be good. However, if one is wanting to increase their blood sugars because it's pretty low and they don't have any other alternatives, then I'd recommend the soy milk as compared to that. Now, for some folks, if the numbers are hard to determine or see for these cartons and all, with the sugars that are on here, one can actually use pennies and put the pennies on the side to actually calculate and see more visually of, oh, how much is one compared to the other. So if we were to say this one has the 9 grams of carbohydrates, subtract that from 2, making that 7. So you'd put 7 total pennies, or just put 7 fingers up here. And then this one over here, since it has just 1, we'd put the 1 over here. So it's like 7 to 1. You can see that carbohydrate content as well. And in my perspective, I think these are both really good substitutes for someone who is not able to drink milk, whether that be lactose intolerant, they're not wanting to intake as much dairy, or any other sorts of ideas with that. But hopefully this video has been helpful in clarifying some understandings of how to read a nutrition label and determining whether soy milk or almond milk or a mixture of both works better for your diet and managing type 2 diabetes and prediabetes. And Personally, for me, I enjoy having these as a way to get some other vitamins and minerals that regular milk may not provide as much, but it just, again, it depends on everyone's goals of whatever they would like. And this is just my breakdown, and hopefully it's been helpful in educating. So thank you so much for tuning into this video. Again, if you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, click that notification bell for updates for our upcoming videos. Share this video with anyone you think would be helpful, and of course to join like-minded individuals who are ready to reverse their type 2 diabetes and prediabetes, whatever stage they might be, whether one is starting out or has been doing it for a while. Feel free to join our community and learn how to do so in a fun way as well. And I appreciate y'all's support for continuing to support me through this, and feel free to let you know your thoughts down below, and hopefully you won't have to deal with as much diary situations of going to the bathroom and having a diarrhea episode if you have lactose intolerance. So thank you all so much again for tuning in to this video, and I'll see y'all in the next one.